Hello, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Edinburgh Northern Cockerel cast. On episode 25, we venture to the far side of the Pacific Ocean by joining two of our recent Northern Kiwis. First in was a player I jostled plenty with for a position in the back row. His low tackling and ability over the ball was always hard to argue with. Once he established himself as an important cog in the Northern pack, despite not actually favouring rugby in his youth, he transferred his skill set seamlessly into becoming Northern's premier halfback, something I'm sure Michael and others will tell you I certainly failed to do. So less about me, more about our first guest. This Wellington native found another home in Scotland's equally windy capital city. He is, of course, Max Hoani. Good evening, Max. Are you well?
Evening, Jace. Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Evening, Mawdsley.
Evening, too. I'm also delighted to introduce our next guest, one who followed in the footsteps of John Hardy and Cammy Mayfair in getting a cap for a Scottish representative team, despite only being in for a short while. Although only with us for 6 months, I believe, this man really made the most of his time with Northern. He packed in cultural misappropriation, many pints of tenants, one really dodgy Primark jacket, and some decent rugby. He was a highly valued member of the club and one who will sadly miss when the season restarts again, probably in October. Joining us from the depths of their winter, where it's probably actually warmer than Edinburgh, it's the one and only Mr. Richie Kircher. Richie, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to hear some Scottish accents and definitely battling to understand some of it again.
Good stuff. So, first of all, Richie, what are you drinking this morning, I should say?
Got a fine Kiwi drop, the Boundary Road APA. And in honour of some of our sessions down at the bunker. It's not quite the WKD, but it's a vodka cruiser, pure passion fruit. So I'm looking forward to that to start my morning off.
Well done. And Max, Saturday evening, what have you got?
I've got a session IPA here, a Serin Lumina, I think it is. Yeah, English beer. It's not too bad, to be honest.
Well done. I've also got a couple of English brewed beers here, but a bit of thought behind these, if you give me a moment. So, the first one is from the Harbour Brewing Company and Antipodean IPA. Good. Yeah, and I'm going to follow that with from Four Pure Brewing Company is a Hemisphere Session IPA. Right?
There you go, Jace. Good lad.
Unlike my co-host, I haven't actually put any thought into my beers, so I had to run around the corner to pick up a takeaway Guinness from my local pub. So I apologise for the lack of an Antipodean influence, which he's obviously fought through himself. So we'll go into the bulk of the interview. We'll start with yourself, Max. How's lockdown treating you? Are you working from home? How are you getting on?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I've been working from home since I think the first week in March, to be honest. So I've been working right through. Sort of a bit sick of my bedroom, to be honest, because my desk is in here, so I've sort of got my desk set up, and then so I spend probably about 18 hours of the day in the bedroom. So yeah, but apart from that, it's going all right. Sort of missing the boys and missing the rugby club. But yeah, apart from that, everything's well.
Excellent. Yeah. And yourself, Richie, after your jump to the far side of the world?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, mate. I think I left mid-April and almost 3 months into the new job over here, so it's going good. It's a bit different to your lockdown, I think.
You're doing a much better job than we are, I think. We've got some questions about that later on as well. So I hope you've prepped yourself in government policy from New Zealand. So
I think just smile and say it's all good. You're all right.
There you go, Michael. Writing policy could be as easy as that.
Don't think it is.
So Right, lads. Let's touch on sort of where you're from, what each of you do, and any other relevant information you want to throw in. Go with Richie first on that one.
Okay, so born in a very small town of Oamaru in the South Island. Luckily, Mum had the good vision to move us to Christchurch. So grew up in Crusaders country. Actually started off playing soccer and saw the light at about 12 years of age. Joined all the mates playing rugby. Started off as a prop and slowly made my way back through the forward pack. Never quite made it out of the forwards.
Okay, it'll probably go back in your later years, I'm sure.
Yeah, the hook is always a good position for a slow flanker.
I'll take that.
Jason has found a certain nascent there in recent years. Yourself, Max?
Yeah, so I was born in Lower Hutt, which is just a sort of town just out of Wellington, and then the North Island. I was actually in a similar situation to Richie. I played rugby up until I was 10, and I got thrown into hook, and I hated it, and basically gave up rugby at primary school. I didn't play rugby right until I moved to Australia. Actually, I moved to Australia when I was 18, and played 2 years of Colts there before I made the jump over to Edinburgh. But yeah, from New Zealand, Hurricanes fan through and through, and yeah, that's me.
That was a good game between the two teams last week then.
Yeah, we managed to scrape it. First time in 3 years those boys have lost down south, so I'll cheer whilst we can there, Richie.
The Canes played well, mate. It was good. There's always some good derbies this season.
Oh, it's pretty intense, that Super Rugby Aotearoa, isn't it?
Yeah, Canes had another good win against the Chiefs last night, so it was hopefully the Crusaders can take out the title today.
Yeah.
Quite probably.
Fantastic. I must admit, you've already started. I'm really looking forward to this rivalry that I expect to come through for most of it. We'll come on to it later on between the North and the South Island. You talked about your rugby background a wee bit there, but without talking about you joining Northern, what brought you to Edinburgh? You're from the other side of the world. So with yourself first, Richie?
Yeah, so went over with the girlfriend. Managed to just scrape in the door with the 2-year youth working visa. I wasn't so youthful, but by 2 weeks I managed to squeeze that in and come on over. Unfortunately COVID sort of curtailed the northern career, but I'll be back for a tour or two, I imagine.
Fantastic. And yourself, Max, what brought you to Edinburgh?
Well, I'm actually in a similar situation as well. So I met my girlfriend in Australia, and her visa was coming to an end, and I wanted to go traveling. So and she's from Scotland, so I jumped on the 2-year visa bandwagon as well, and yeah, came over, did the 2 years, and loved it, and haven't left.
Done. So obviously in both your times there, you stumbled upon quite probably the best club ever. Do you remember when this was, Max, first?
Yeah, 2016. I joined Northern. So it was a bit of a weird one. I'd obviously been here for I think maybe a year and a half, and I was like, I want to get back into rugby. Didn't really know many people that played, and happened to work with Mawdsley, and he knew Gollum and Tom Lawman because they also worked in the same office as me, and basically got dragged down to one training, and basically still here.
Well done. And Richie, yourself?
Yeah, I was actually very close to joining Musselburgh. I had a mate from my club back in Christchurch. He said he'd been over here for 2 years and said, "Oh, you got to go join those guys." And I looked it up on Google Maps and said, "No deal for the bike ride home on a shitty winter's evening after training." So, luckily for me, Edinburgh Northern was a lot closer to where I was living than Musselburgh.
Quite right. Although doing that commute myself twice a week through the season, much prefer a vehicle than a bicycle, should I say?
I feel like driving is an advantage there, though, Jason.
Exactly. Rather
than cycling. Yeah. And Richie used to cycle. I remember distinctly, Richie, when you first came down in your blue jacket in the pissing rain, would pedal off into the darkness without any lights, never to be seen again. So,
It's always easier to hide from the authorities if you don't have lights on your bike.
Rebel. A true rebel you are.
We haven't actually had a police officer in yet, so we'll ask them that question when they come on about lights. We'll move on, because obviously you've both got quite different experiences. Richie, obviously yours was curtailed with COVID and so on. Max, you've been around for about 4 years now. So what do you see as Northern's unique selling point? We'll go with Richie first, if that's okay.
Location. No, it's definitely nice and handy to a lot of pubs and going out on the night, but just a good laid back atmosphere. It's always a good night out at the bunker, and you watch certain people like yourself, Mawdsley, stumble across the muddy grass to get down to the tick afterwards. So always enjoyable.
I feel like that's. I don't think you've seen that, because I've been quite quiet since you joined. So, but yes, I completely agree with that sentiment. And yourself, Max?
Yeah, I think for me, it's more just the social side of Edinburgh Northern. I think the bunch of lads that are at the club, a great bunch of lads. A huge mix of nationalities. Obviously, me and Richie being the sort of the two Kiwis there, but you've got a lot of Irish boys, a lot of English lads there. There's also obviously mixed in with a lot of the Scottish lads. So you've got a good mix of nationalities, good bunch of boys. Everyone's sort of keen for a drink, and don't take rugby too seriously. At the end of the day, they're all just out there to enjoy each other's company. So I think that's like the biggest pull for me, is just the camaraderie and the friendship with the lads itself.
And that's great. So obviously everyone who comes in, we all agree on that as well. You both played a wee bit of club rugby in New Zealand, I think. Is it different there? Is it quite similar, the spirit?
Yeah, well, I didn't play club rugby in New Zealand. I played club rugby in Australia when I was living in Australia, and I think I guess it's I'd probably say here it's probably the more the social side. I think a lot of the boys in Australia would have a drink in the change rooms, and then they were more focused about going to town and doing that. But I think with Northern, it's enjoying each other's company after and going into the bunker. Even when we play away teams as well, going into their clubhouse and having a drink is probably not something that tends to happen in Australia, to be honest. So yeah, I think that's the key point there for me.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, definitely. The after-match function is a rarity over here. Always enjoyable. But probably the thing that stood out for me the most is how keen all the boys were on getting the kit. I looked to get myself some, but I'm obviously more Scottish than most of the Scottish guys at the club, because it was far too expensive for me to pay for any of the gear. So I took up Mawdsley's what do you call it, modus operandi, and started seeing what was left in the changing rooms. And these these track pants I've actually got with the Scottish rugby symbol on is actually very kindly donated by those changing rooms.
Could you stand up for a second and show me that? Because I can't find my tracksuit pants. They're not mine. That's fine.
No, they're quite tight. So it was someone relatively small.
I was once Finn, Richie. So
finders keepers.
Yeah, I'm not chasing you to Christchurch to get them back either. So, no.
Mawds, if you were chasing me, I'd still feel comfortable, mate. I saw your half marathon effort. It didn't really get off the ground.
Lockdown was a hard time. I've been saving the country, Richie. I don't know if I've told anyone this in the podcast, but I've been saving the country.
You've been keeping Nicola in line, have you, Mawdsley?
No, she keeps me in line. No, I've been doing my best. I just couldn't get around to it. So
while I was in quarantine in the government hotel, mate, I was looking for you for a motivation. Still waiting.
I'm my own trumpet when I want to be, but I would never look for me for motivational advice unless it was about maybe which pub to go to at 11:45 on a Friday. So I'm sorry to have let you down, Richie. You seem to be in good shape though, so it's fine. I think you found yourself in that quarantine. So
look, I had a lot of time to, explore different ways, Mawdsley.
Contemplate.
Yeah.
So
well done. Anyway, so we'll move swiftly on. I think my most recent injury actually prevented me playing any with Richie during his time, but I definitely remember a good few battles playing alongside Max, particularly some dirty ones down in Langham, actually. So could both of you talk us through maybe your favourite or most memorable game or victory playing with the club? We'll go with Max first.
I'd probably say, I think it was my first season played Dalkeith. We played against Dalkeith and playing Dalkeith for the ones. And I remember, I think we were sort of middle of the table, and I think they were at the top of the table. And they had a bit of a reputation, I think, that season. And we showed up, weren't paying attention. I think we were already getting pumped by 3 tries in about the first 10 minutes or something like that. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to be a bit of a long day. And then I don't think they scored. They may have scored a couple of points after that, but we turned it round. I remember scoring a try that day. I remember you being on the ground starting a mini scrap there, Jason. Then some boy had you, I had him, and I was ready to go, start to launch at him, but didn't. Basically us sitting there getting pumped and then turning it around and taking victor at Dalkeith, I think, was probably my most memorable moment, and probably, being in a situation where I thought we were down and out early doors and turned it around, and happy days.
The best part of that game, Max, is that you've forgotten the fact we won in the last minute with a kick from the touchline by Nudges.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and when you describe Jason as being, in a fight, Jason was punched in the face at least 21 times in that game, having come off the bench for. Who was it? Dom who got injured, Jason?
I think it was, and I was very unfit to be playing 65 minutes at that point. But
Jason just getting abused for. We'll come on to the back row later on and talk about it, but Jason getting abused and us winning the last minute That's a very good choice of game, I must admit. I have fun memories of that as well.
Oh, I know. Did you score in that game as well, Mawdsley?
No, I let 2 tries for the centre, so I was. I struggled. It was because to defend myself slightly, it was me and Colin playing at 12 and 13, and me and Colin don't really play together. We tend to be in the same position if we're playing, so we couldn't really handle their over and under lines. So we've spoken about it since, and we've kind of patched it up. But I've never seen someone so angry at me for not actually making a mistake because he made the mistake. So I'm sure he'll defend himself when he comes on at some point. But yeah, I was part of the reason we were 14 points down within 10 minutes. So
I think we're all raging, but yeah, I think to be able to turn it around, I think that was the bloody game of the season for me.
Especially there as well. God, what an awful place as well.
Right. Well, on from that one, how about yourself, Richie? You did get a good few games under your belt.
Yeah, mate. I was lucky enough to get a good number of games for seconds and the ones. Definitely one of the standouts was game number 1 in typical Scottish weather on number 2 field at home. I think we were playing, was it Lismore?
Leith.
Leith, there we go. And torrential rain, and on a very interesting dimensioned number 2 field. To make it even better, there was like a bog right on the 50-metre line near the sideline that smelt rather interesting. Certainly happy to end the game with a win, and get into the showers covered head to toe in mud that smelt like shit.
Welcome to Scotland.
Yeah. It was a fair introduction before we had some interesting training sessions too. But I think the best one was just before Christmas. Now you're gonna have to. Is it right that I say Liberton? Is that who we were playing? The top of the table clash.
Lismore. It'd been Lismore.
Lismore.
Yeah, they're right beside each other. They're both dreadful clubs on the south side of Edinburgh. So
yeah, obviously my geography is pretty good on the bicycle. But it was my first meat pie for the club, so that was enjoyable. That's a try for you, Mawdsley.
I was wondering what the reference was, but it's fine.
And it was a good hard game. Always amusing when Gollum went down in a heap and was quite worried about his groin area, to find out that nothing was wrong and he should have played on, but was complaining. Good to top all those bastards.
I do actually remember that game because I think your fellow your guest on tonight had been at his Christmas night out with the promise that he would be playing no more than 40 minutes of rugby, and right. Gollum went down I think 10 minutes into the game, and Max had to. Max, when did you come on in that game, Max? Roughly?
No, I came on about the 15th minute, I think it was.
Yeah. And you looked worse than me before you came on.
Oh, I was rough as hell. Christmas night before, and I was expecting to be playing 9, but I ended up playing 7. So
7/9.
Well, yes, 7/9. I'll give you that.
The best ball playing. Yeah, the best ball playing 7 I've ever seen. It was. I think it's actually one of the reasons why I think we won that game, because you came on playing 7, but played as I can't even remember who was at 9 in that game. It was Dan Law. Yeah, but you both played 9 with me at 10. I just kept getting bashed, but you were just moving around the place. It was brilliant. Like, it was such a good game. You didn't show your hungover state. Don't worry. So.
No, but I was rough as hell that day.
Hey, there you go, Richie. Best ball playing 7 he's ever seen. So me, you, and the former captain could maybe just continue this podcast ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an unfair jibe, Jason, because Richie and me actually played a representative game of rugby for the Scottish Parliament, where Richie threw some pretty impressive passes. So, Max was hungover at the time, so I feel he deserves more credit. Like, Richie doesn't drink, so.
I hate drinking, Mawdsley. I never do it.
Yeah, especially at half 9 in the morning in New Zealand. So
terrible option.
And terrible option indeed.
So, in typical humble Kiwi style, both of you mentioned your couple of tries you scored there when we asked you about games. So, are there any other tries maybe which stand out in your time? Not necessarily your own, maybe ones you were involved in. We'll go with Richie first.
You really asked me to pump the tyres of some other players here, aren't you? I guess I can't even remember which game it was, but one of the few times that Jamie McCann did manage to pull the laces on in his multiple injury states, he was running from number 8, and I think he set up 3 tries in one game, just running 40, 50 metres off the back of the scrum, and there'd always be an offload to one of the boys. I'd say that'd be the highlight. Always good as coming off the side of the scrum and you're already 30 metres behind the guy with the ball. It's a good omen.
Well done. Max, I think I remember you delivering a fantastic right to left pass over to Crawford, who managed to actually catch one in the semi-final against Aberdeenshire.
That was actually going to be my big mention there. Croft scoring in the corner there. It was a bit of a, I don't know what's the word, a big, haymaker. Hope for the best. I would say that I thought Dom was going to score under the post in that game, and buddy, his hands let him down that day. So I won't let him I won't let him forget about that one. Under the post, no one in front of him. And mate, butterfingers that day.
Good stuff.
I imagine Dom probably loses sleep on that most nights, Max, as well. So
I know.
It's always good to remind people of these things.
Yeah.
So we'll move into your from your time at the club and who you've most enjoyed playing beside. So we'll start with you, Richie. I know you spent a lot of time in the back row, but are there a couple of players that you enjoy playing beside?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked before about Maxi jumping into the flank role. I always enjoy a halfback that doesn't mind getting in the thick of things and making a pig of themselves, basically. And Dan Law, he's a good feral sort of halfback that you want. Is got a bit of mongrel about him. It was always good fun having him there as a fourth back rower. Obviously, my first game, I also debuted alongside Trust Fund Tom. I felt quite sorry for him by the end of the game. I was playing 7, he was playing 6, and I was very happy every time I saw him get the ball and just have to run it up in shitty Scottish conditions, because by the end of the game we were absolutely dead. But I think my favourite trio in the Lucy's, I'll give one to old Dom. We've ripped him out a little bit before. Have him at 7. I'll chuck myself in there with Jamie McCann at 8. Yeah, it is a rare occasion that he's playing, but when he plays, it's good.
Such of all the stars, though, they can only flitter but once an evening, or a Saturday in June, March. Sorry, I'm getting my dates wrong. Yourself, Max. I think we'll give you the choice of the back row or halfbacks.
Yeah, I think I'll probably go with halfback. I think it's probably when I'm playing halfback. I think probably the best player I sort of played with it when I was playing halfback was probably Jeremy when Jeremy would play 8. Jeremy was obviously a really good ball player. I think he just had some sort of, I don't know where he got his speed from, but he was quick. And always just, he would draw defenders in, and, had a habit of putting me in space off the back of those scrums. So, I'd probably say Jeremy was, the best player to play with when I'm playing 9.
Mm-hmm.
And not to be biased, but fly halves as well, Max, while you're at it.
Slim Pickens movie at his time.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'd pick any of them.
Quite the opposite of Slim, to be fair there, Jace.
Oh, Mawdsley, me and you have a love-hate relationship. I feel like it got better. I feel like it got better as the season went on.
Yeah, and then Dalkeith happened, which was all me. So
Can you remind me what happened at Dalkeith? I've seemed to have forgotten, Mawdsley.
So for some reason, and I think this is, I think Chris made the wrong decision to play Simon at 13 and me at 10 in that game, and I threw one very big pass off. Not a bad pass from Max. It wasn't Max's fault. It was my fault. I got it wrong, calculated it wrong, bounced over Simon's head, and they scored from it. Which was fine because Paul scored immediately afterwards, so we kind of redeemed ourselves. And I thanked Paul profusely. And then I did it again in the second half, where I wound up to throw a 25-yard miss pass over the head of the defence and cocked my hands back so far. I basically threw I think they're outside centre in for a try on the line. So, yeah, that was what happened in that.
When I say I forgot, I remembered 100%. And I think it's very rough to say that it bounced over his head when it landed 10 metres behind him.
The first
game at home, or was it away?
It was at home.
It was at home.
It was the last game we played, Max, before. It was the one where you tackled the boy. You were playing fullback, I think, and you tackled the boy. You basically went shoulder face into his head, and their coach did not enjoy it at all. And everyone was like, it's fine, and it wasn't fine at all because you basically assaulted him. And that was a game of many moments. And yeah, I don't like talking about it. Thank you for bringing it up, though, Richie. That was, I don't think the first try was entirely my fault because I blame Robbie for most of that for coming too short. The second try was because I entirely knew what I was doing and I just cocked it and just fucked it. So,
it was also noted that you left out who set up Paul's try straight after the kerfuffle.
Yeah, that would have been you, I believe. You had a tremendous game, which is I gave you credit in the introduction about how much we'll miss you at the start of the season. When Jason comes back playing 7, he doesn't have the same Antipodean ball playing skills that you do. So, as he grins to himself.
Anyway, less about our feelings and inabilities on the pitch. Guys, to your time off the pitch with Northern then, tell us about your sort of favourite nights out that you've been on or events that we've hosted. Go with Max first.
I'd probably say I haven't had the luxury of going on tour, unfortunately. I've had to renew my visa twice when at the same time as tour, so I've been a bit stuck there. But I'd probably say Burns Night is my sort of favourite sort of time, partly because you get a bit of Scottish culture, which is I enjoy, and then the rowdiness that happens afterwards is sort of part of the fun. So yeah, I'd say Burns Night is for me.
Well done. And Richie, what about yourself? You've enjoyed a Burns Night in your time?
I did. I in my limited time there, I had a couple of good nights. Christmas warm up was also a good one by Jamie Kindness. His mince pies with interesting toppings on them that had been left out for a couple of months. They were certainly a highlight. But yeah, Burns Night was certainly. I think that's what Mawdsley was mentioning with my cultural misappropriation, if that's correct.
Yeah, correct.
I would like to say that I was just getting in the spirit of things, and I got a kilt. I did a little bit of Scottish history and turned up like Braveheart. What more could you want from a barman working on Burns Night?
The historian me would say that Burns was about 400 years after Bannockburn, and almost 450 years after Stonybridge. But no, it was. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You know,
once again, like inspiration for Burns to write some of that such passionate words must have surely come from William himself.
I mean, definitely. I mean, some of my best Facebook posts have been in complete hatred of the English. So, there must be something in there. So, it was the most surprising, the magnificent outfit I've ever seen a member bar staff wear for a Burns night. To have gone full Braveheart on it. So
and to be fair, carrying 10 wickets while maybe a little bit shickered over to a table, and only spilling some of it on one of the players' girlfriends was, I thought, quite a good feat.
Can you remember which player's girlfriend it was?
Mawdsley, I don't even remember my undies getting ripped off from under the kilt, so I'm going to say no. Let alone the fire of said undies outside the bunker.
That was just to keep us warm because the central heating is so shit. No, I do. I completely agree with Burns Night. I think Burns Night is actually our best night that we have because it's the perfect combination of partner and Northern member, and it just goes loose regardless of what happens, and you see it's just chaos within minutes after the speeches have finished. So,
and we'll have the whitest Kiwi topless Braveheart. That's really a recipe for success.
Well, it certainly can't be any worse than our club president standing up in a dress and delivering a reply from the lassies.
That was actually one of the most unbearable Burns nights I've ever been at. So he's not a funny man. I mean, he doesn't want to be. So I'm being cynical. That's the rule we don't break. Anyway, sorry. Carry on, Jason.
Moving on. Yeah. So we're going to move on to our listener questions, and this time it's going to come in the form of like a quick fire round. So Michael and myself will give you a choice between two. You choose as quick as you can your favourite or most preferred. We'll ask Max to lead in the answers, just so there's no sort of answer at the same time. We'll alternate the questions and let you know, obviously, when we're finished. So Michael's going to lead us off.
Are we taking points on this based on my opinion of who's right and who's wrong?
Yeah, we can have a summary at the end.
Yeah. So one of you is going to have to chin your drink at the end of this. They're good questions though, so I wouldn't drink that quickly yet. So the first one is Jacinda or Nicola?
Jacinda.
So Boris or John Key?
Boris.
John Key.
Crusaders or Leinster?
Crusaders.
Crusaders.
Glasgow or the Hurricanes?
Hurricanes.
Boys, you're making this too easy. The Canes, hands down.
Chiefs or Northern?
Northern.
Fuck yes. Chiefs are my most despised New Zealand team. So Northern.
I think Northern could probably beat them in the minute too.
They are so dreadful. It's remarkable. Like, I don't even think Gatlin's bad at
what Warren done to them?
Well, it's because he's got all these commercial commitments, which basically means he doesn't give a fuck. So, moving on.
Yeah, moving on from slagging our BNI Lions head coach. Next one, Iron Brew or L&P?
Iron Brew.
Yeah, Iron Brew.
Ooh.
Mackey's. Is it Mackey's? Is it Mackey's, Jason?
Yeah.
Mackey's or Lay's?
I think we're
Mackey's. Tris Mackey's.
Yeah.
Lay's.
Okay.
Oh, differing opinion.
Yeah. Russell or Barrett?
Barrett.
Barrett.
That's really annoying because you've both lost negative points for that answer. McCaw or O'Brien?
Oh, that's an easy one, mate. So, Richie.
You've torn me here because completely different positions. O'Brien is the magician. I'm going to go with O'Brien just to try and get some more. Who or maybe I'm thinking of
Sean O'Brien's for the Irish.
Sean O'Brien.
Fuck. See, I was only thinking of Brian O'Driscoll. Hands down, Richie.
Also, I'm not. Okay, Richie, sorry.
No, I thought you guys, it could only be one, but that's all right.
We might be stubborn up here, but we're not going to compare a centre to a flanker. Like, we do some preparation, Richie. I'm also not. Did Sean O'Brien actually play 7 for Ireland? Because he looks like a horrendously deformed number 8 playing 6.
Well, he was most often a 7 for Ireland, yeah, and played 7 against New Zealand in 2017, didn't he?
How did that go for you?
For us?
No, I'm not asking you, Max. I know how it went. It's fine. I'll wait for Jason's answer.
Yeah.
Oh no, we didn't.
It was a draw series, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Lions, not the Ireland tour to New Zealand the year before. Sorry, I apologise. When that went really south for them. Carry on, Jason. Sorry.
Right. So next one, Tui or Tennants?
Tennants.
Hands down, Tennants. So thinking man's beer.
I'm going to Tennants.
How many men do you see sitting on a park bench drinking Tennants? Middle of the day.
It depends what part of the city or the country you're in. So, the answer is I think at the moment, because it's actually quite warm, it's probably quite a high number. It is the thinking man's cheap lager. Although, ironically, coming from Glasgow, I can't stand this stuff. I think Jason's father-in-law drinks it. It's horrific. It's just grim. Like it doesn't. It's got no flavour or culture. It's just awful. But I'm glad that you both have come here and enjoyed it so much. So, and you picked that as an answer. The next question is Brewdog or Spates?
Spates.
Brewdog only because Spates is overpriced.
I didn't try any Spates actually when I was in New Zealand.
How expensive is a beer at Spates? If Brewdog is like £8 a pint?
But they definitely price it as like a higher end beer when it's just a factory, same as your double brown or lion red, basically.
Okay. Fair.
So our next one, pineapple lumps or deep fried Mars bar?
Pineapple lumps.
Pineapple lumps. I've never actually had a Mars bar, deep fried.
I'm sure you can manage it somehow. You go camping enough to get a deep fat fry. Do you deep fat fry pineapple lumps in New Zealand, or is it just like fresh pineapple?
Michael, only Scotland deep fry.
Anything and everything here.
We did build the empire, so it's fine.
Let's not get into that.
No. The final comparison question is humans or sheep?
Sheep.
I'm going to say sheep are nothing without Velcro gloves, Max.
That was the depths of where Jason and me had gone to at the end of it. trying to work out comparisons between New Zealand and Scotland. So that was, I apologise previously.
So good.
Was that just for reference, Richie? Did you say sheep or humans?
Humans.
You pick humans, okay.
Good to know. So that's the end of our not so quick fire round.
There is a winner, Jason. There's a winner.
Okay.
And it's neither of them. Because they didn't pick Finn Russell as the best fly half in the world. So if you could both chin your drinks, please, as punishment for that.
Cheers, Maxie.
Cheers, Richie.
Nice. So while you're doing that, our sort of final question, really, what you sort of looking forward to most as you come out of lockdown? Probably quite an unfair question, Richie.
Yeah, no, it's lockdown is over. Life is pretty normal over here. Looking forward to getting some touch rugby going over here, but I'm also very nervous because there's a lot more brown boys in the North Island, so my lack of pace is going to be exposed even more.
What about yourself, Max, saying out of a proper lockdown?
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably getting back to training, to be honest. Probably similar, bit of touch rugby or something like that. Something to where I can throw around the ball is probably what I want to get back into, to be honest. These boys are probably the same.
Itching, mate.
I'm not sure.
Couple of half marathons sort of out, Michael.
No, I've heard of John's plans, so I'm not hugely keen.
Good stuff. Thanks for that, lad. So next time on the Cockerel Cast, we'll find out how Leith's chief litter picker and former Northern 2's captain Craig Lawson is enjoying the new normal. For now, though, I'm Jason Thompson. He's Michael Mawdsley, and thanks to Richie and Max for your time. We look forward to both of you reminding us how your wee country is a world leader in rugby and in fighting pandemics. Cheers.
Thank you very much.